Okay, so this is a historical documentation of the White family. And I'm going to start Eva with you if you'll ask that first question.
What year were you born? December. I was born a year 1931. On what date? December the 1st. Don't know the day of the week. And my parents never told me anything about the day that I was born.
Okay, so in general, how do you think your life was? You have a good life, a fun life, hard life?
Hard, miserable.
Tell me a little bit about it. If you can start when you were like very young, just tell me in general what your history was like.
It's just that my mother, in her own way, just didn't think children should have any freedom to play or to visit other kids or to go anywhere or do anything. We would have to stay home if it was nothing. They called it kindling when you chop wood for the, because we had heaters that burn coal and wood, and I would have to go out there and chop the wood, or we had to wash the clothes on a washboard. And most of you don't know what a washboard and tin tub. We had to wash all the clothes, and I was just a child, but it was more like I was the mother of all these children because I had to do everything for them.
Okay, so that's an introduction. I want also to have Laverne White Parks, White, whatever you would go by. You want to answer that first question?
Yeah. I was born January 3rd, 1934.
What city?
In Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, and how do you think your life was?
And my life was mostly miserable. We were poor, but so was almost everybody on the block. They just didn't have a mother that caused them to be in the shape they were in. And she had lots of babies, like one every 2 years. And me and my older sister were left taking care of them most of the time. And when children came to play, she would say, "Go home, these children got work to do, they can't play." So it was either go to school or go to work. We didn't have a lot of playtime. And we had to carry these babies, work for people in the neighborhood, not get any benefit of the money. And before I was old enough to work, you had to take a test and you had to be over 15. And I didn't pass that test and they made me work anyway. So I was working at a factory under age of working. But I couldn't keep the money because my mother always needed the money for the house, she said. And she also said I couldn't tell my daddy that I was making money or it would make it bad for her. So I found myself working in the factory with grown-ups and teenagers and not reaping the benefits of any of the money.
Doing what? What was you doing?
The job that I was doing was waterproof and Army combat boots. But at home I was washing diapers. And I had 5 brothers, 2 sisters, and a mother and daddy, which meant 10 people if you had myself on there. And I had to do that laundry by hand in a tin tub and hang them outside. And when they got dry, you brought them in and ironed them so the boys would have pants for school and daddy would have overalls for work. So our whole life was work, work, work.
Okay, and now I want to introduce the third person, Lloyd White.
You did nothing.
Okay. I was born in 1949. I don't know what day of the week that was. My parents really didn't tell me anything about when I was born because I was always with my sisters. And I guess that's why I had a completely different time. You know, I had a ball. And I know my mother did tell me, not by my first name, but my middle name is Nelson, and I think at the time, Babyface Nelson was kind of like the Jesse James at that time,
Right.
and all the folks kind of liked him. So that's why I think they said Nelson.
Daddy wasn't there.
And
How did your
this question,
family
one of your
earn
first,
money?
most vivid memories, I was telling Eva, I remember when I was 2, when I was in the hospital, but I don't remember being sick, and I don't remember going to the hospital. I remember like being well in the hospital, and they were coming to get me, and I don't know which one of you all brought me this big thing. It used to be a big thing. It was shaped kind of like this, and it was tall as me, and you hit it, and it would like go down and come back up like this. And I was kind of traumatized because I didn't get that thing back home. Somebody brought that up there to the hospital for me to punch on, and it did never get back to my house. And I knew I was 2 then, and I'll never forget that. Never.
Some of those students and doctors
They
just take
took
it
it
home.
on.
Or even visitors, they just say, let's take this home.
Okay, so that's the introduction, and what I want to do now is just sort of have you all have some conversation with each other about how your life is going from is your very first earliest memory that you have, and then sort of talk about how you got what happened to get you all the way from where you were to where we are today. So, Eva, you will have probably the earliest memory. What is your very first memory that you can think of?
Like the apartment.
Do you remember after leaving home?
Well, just your very
no.
first
Like-
thing you can remember,
Because
period.
see, I can compare what y'all saying. I know it's completely different than what y'all did. Like the first house or apartment and bedrooms and all that.
He said, I can start with who was more strict, your father, mother, father. My mother was more strict. My father wasn't even there. He didn't seem to care or know what we did. And I would say that because I was 18 when we lived on the, was that Cobra? Well, anyway, I left there and got an apartment down the street in the next block. And that was the happiest that I had ever been. I had my own little room, and I worked at Barnes Hospital. So I was completely, it was like, it was years later when Martin Luther King said free at last, but I was free at last. I moved right down the street. I could just carry my clothes down there. It was the room and the kitchen that I shared with another couple that was up there.
Can you remember when you were like 2, 3, 4 years old, when your grandparents or other kids in the neighborhood or anything like that?
Yes, when I was that young, we were in Memphis, and the only grandparents was, we called her Mama White. That was Daddy's mama. We called her Mama White. But she never really talked to us or had us over. We knew she lived across the street.
Mm-hmm.
We knew she was a grandmother, but she never did anything with us. When we moved here and went back there, I was 16, so I guess Vera was 14. She did more with us then than she did when we actually lived there.
And then you said Mama White was Native American?
Yes. Part black.
We moved in with her for a while.
Yeah, Daddy lost his job, and we all moved in one room. I don't know how many it was.
How many rooms in the whole house?
It
One,
was
two,
three
three,
bedrooms and a dining room.
and kitchen.
3 bedrooms.
Three bedrooms.
It's a big
One
house.
of those bedrooms were a dining room and got turned into bedroom. But she had grown daughters at home herself. Me and my father and all of their children. We lived in the house that my granddaddy built. My granddaddy and daddy built almost every little shack on that block.
And all of us kids slept on this couch that let out, and Mother and Dad slept in the bed. They was in this one room. All of us lived in this one room. Just let the couch out, the boys laying down this way and the girls laying up this way. We all lived in that one room.
And I got a little statement that I was going to leave out, but I'm going to slip it in here right now. When we went to live with our grandmother during the summertime, we didn't bring the little kid. It was just me and my oldest sister. We had an uncle that decided to kiss us goodnight every night, and we were like, Would you say
Mhm.
14, 15 when I?
Mhm.
So to keep him from kissing us, we were scared to tell on him. We had to get in the bed together, so that it would be hard for him to kiss on both of us. Don't you remember that, Alan?
Mhm.
And we didn't. You don't remember Alan kissing us?
Mhm.
Oh. And we didn't want to tell Helen because she was a big old spoiled baby, and she would. Could you get my ice cream? She was good to us though. Could you get my ice cream before I get ready to go to bed? Yes, honey. Then I'm gonna come back and put the girls to bed. So what were we gonna say? He kissed us every night.
But we weren't there at that age because I had my 10th birthday after we moved here. So we weren't teenagers in Memphis.
Well, he must have been kissing us at.
Because a
Oh
small
yes, he
age.
was. Let me tell you why.
Mm.
We didn't go there to live. We went there to visit.
Yeah, to visit. That's when he
And
was
I would
standing
be
over
on
us.
Yeah.
Because we,
Cause
I
was
had my
standing-
10th birthday here.
Right. And I was like 7 or 8. But when he was kissing us good night, we were bigger girls.
Yeah. He was a child molester. They found it out later on. But we didn't know at that time, you know, because we
We just
always
know
stayed
we didn't have to
together.
be kissed.
So he couldn't. So later on, found out that he was a child
And we
molester.
didn't never tell her.
No, she
and he
wouldn't have
would-
believed
and
it.
They
he-
probably wouldn't believe you anyway.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it would have been a lot different back then.
Right, a lot different, you know.
Matter of
so-
fact, y'all probably got beat.
Yeah.
For saying that, because we like to say, Mama White was crazy about him. You know, this was her Helen's
That was her
husband,
baby.
and she wouldn't have. Because when I was 16, when we went back there to visit, and like I said, he was always standing over me. Because I remember I was on the couch reading Gosler Acre, because I used to use Urson Carwell book, and he came and bent over me. And Helen was in the backyard saying, "Bring the clothespins." And I jumped up, but I didn't tell her anything because I know that she wouldn't believe me. And then one day, Mama White was trying to get me to get in the car with him to go pick up Helen. And I wouldn't get in the car with him. I wouldn't tell her why. But I said, "I'm not going with you." She said, "Get in that car with your uncle, go pick up your auntie." Because I knew the things that he was doing, and she wouldn't have believed it.
So you all lived in Memphis until you were like 9 or 10?
Yeah, but this
So-
is when I went back to
Mhm.
visit at 16.
But what?
But I had my 10. I remember having my 10th birthday here, because Ma packed us up and brought us here, because some woman, I'll never forget the porch that I was standing on, and this woman came and told mother, Daddy had been with her teenage daughter. And she packed us up, and the man next door, his name was Mr. Johnson, and he took us to the train station, and
She wrapped, she wrapped me in a blanket so that I could pass for underage. She wouldn't have to.
and she
Remember,
took.
I was so, my dad, I was so
They
scared.
said,
I
"Who
didn't
was
know
the baby
what to do.
then? Little Bay?"
It was somebody younger than me, probably Paul.
And she brought us here, cause Daddy worked for the railroad, so she could get a pass and bring us here. And they were on. Her sisters lived on Stoddard, and they were on welfare, so they didn't even come to pick us up. She got us a cab because they didn't want us. They couldn't tell her, but taking us in, and they were on welfare.
Mm-hmm.
And I was old enough to remember that. But after we were here a week, Daddy came here and found a house on Thomas Street
And furniture.
and furniture and moved us in. And after, as soon as he found out that
A week later?
left. Huh?
A week after y'all got here?
It was real quicker
It was
than
quick.
you just can't get that stuff
Yeah.
done these days that quick.
But he
had-
came right here.
We did.
Because that house was full. Mag was on her, and Mag had her kids. That's my mother's sister, May. They had kids, and Buttercup. They all were there, and they all were on welfare. They all had
Okay, so
children. The house
Mag
was full.
and May are Mud's sisters.
Yeah.
Buttercup is too?
Yeah, that was her younger sister. And they were all in this house on Stoddard. And that's where we came. And then we moved to Thomas. So we had a decent house. It's the house that we
I
grew
don't-
up in.
I don't remember being miserable with Mag or May at all. I remember sleeping in the bed with too many people.
Well, man, it's fun.
Man, it was
Yeah.
fun. That's
But
the
we
only.
had something to
And she
eat.
played with kids.
Yeah,
They didn't want us there because they would get cut off of welfare if they took us in. Not that they didn't love us,
Mhm.
but they didn't want to be from what they had.
Because I remember me and Mickey used to go up and down the alley. We had a red wagon and we would get glass.
And get broken bottles.
And Mickey's your
stuff.
cousin,
Uh-huh.
Maze boy.
May's
Yeah,
son.
he was right under me.
What I was getting ready to say is that if you were 10 when we first came here, it could only be Paul that would be fun. And
Cause
another
when
thing
three of y'all
about
came
it,
up here, right?
yeah, what I was getting ready to say is that something is wrong because she used to make me get the grocery with him by myself, but she made me and you go to the corner store to get her goodies and take Marilyn with us. So that means Marilyn was really young to be going to St. Louis, because what Marilyn would do if she couldn't come out of that store with a goodie for herself, she fell out.
She would just fall out.
And when me and you went back to get, we couldn't carry her, so we went back to get the mother. Then she would give us a spanking for leaving the baby lane, but we couldn't carry the baby, we couldn't make her get up. So she's at the store. So what I'm saying then, we were still living in Memphis. How old was Marilyn to be falling out like that?
Well, wait a minute. When y'all came up here, was it 3 of y'all or 4 of y'all?
I think it was, that's what we're trying to figure out now. I think it was,
Like we were
I
2
think
years old.
Paul was born. But how did we were in Memphis with Marilyn in the store.
Yeah, we
and
were in Memphis with
we were
Marilyn.
still with them.
And I can remember when she would fall out, but I know because we were living on Thomas, and my 10th birthday, this lady that lived upstairs, and somebody gave me some, you know, they had the paper dolls that you could tear out and put clothes on. She gave me just a book with the paper dolls in it. That's why I remember I had my 10th birthday here.
Well, look, everybody was born in Memphis except me and Gary. Curtis was born in Memphis too, wasn't
No, Curtis was born here. Curtis, Lloyd,
Babe,
Oh,
I know
Babe.
Babe was the baby
he?
when we
Okay,
left.
that was
here.
the baby.
Babe was the baby.
Because Marilyn is older than me.
Right.
and we should.
But you were wrapped in a blanket.
She wrapped me in. This is what I don't understand. If she could get railroad tickets for free, why did she have to hide me under the blanket?
I don't know.
Maybe
She
it
must have
only-
got so many.
Maybe it only could get
Yeah,
so
so
many
many.
people.
Mhm.
And
So she
if,
said, I said, yeah.
Because he
but-
worked for Missouri Pacific Railroad
She
until
said,
he
"Let her be
died.
quiet. We're gonna pass you off as a baby." And I said, when they found out they're gonna put me off of this train, she said, "Just be quiet." So when the conductor came by,
he must have been short.
I was short. I ain't never gotten much taller. And she said, "Be quiet. Get under that blanket." So that means the only other baby could have been Paul, because the conductor would have noticed 8 of us. So it
No,
must
it wasn't
be
8 because
That's what I was
Lauren
doing.
and
That's
Me and Gary were born
you
in
and
St.
Gary,
Louis.
you, Curtis, and Gary.
That's what I
were
said.
born here.
Curtis was born here.
Right.
Me, Curtis, and Gary were born in St. Louis.
and Bay.
Babe was born in Memphis. He was the baby
I
when he came
remember,
here.
I remember him nursing and playing with Miss Lady next door, the big fat lady. I think it was just me, you, and Paul. And if you were 10,
And Marilyn, no,
And-
no,
Marilyn's
Marilyn's
older
older than
than
Babe.
Paul.
no, Marilyn's older than Bay.
Okay, so it must have been Marilyn. Because if you were 10 and I was 8, somebody was 6.
That was Paul.
Okay, that was Paul.
And, so then somebody was 4.
So Marilyn must have been
Then 4.
4.
Mhm.
No, y'all couldn't pick her up if she fell out.
She was a really fat thing. Fat, thick baby. How far down are we? Did I get it from under the blanket?
Well, now you all, now you all are in St. Louis. And how was it in St. Louis? What happened?
So we
Well,
moved
I
in
was
our
missing
own
Memphis
house.
a whole lot when I came to St. Louis because I didn't like all the brick buildings. I liked the little buildings my daddy built and the little country gardens every now and again somebody had. My granddad had a garden on an empty lot and he would plant corn and tomatoes and I would go walk behind him. Well, we couldn't find that in St. Louis. That was just a Memphis thing and I missed that a lot. Although granddaddy wouldn't say anything, but he would look back to make sure I was following him, and I would walk the path of the corn. It really wasn't a garden type of neighborhood. It was just flower gardens that had been turned into vegetables. And my mama would grow green beans and carrots, and I just swore that I would never eat another green bean or carrot, Lord. I come home from school at lunch, that was green beans and carrots. Come back home for dinner, green beans and carrots, and I just hated them. But they were healthy and green and plentiful, so you always had something to eat.
Well, I didn't like it because I was from the South. I was supposed to be in the 6th grade, and they put me in 5th grade. They used to call me little country girl. No, they didn't know nothing about Memphis. They just know I was from Tennessee, so they would call me little country girl.
What school you went to?
Duval.
They called me country too.
Was it dark school anyway?
Little country girl.
And we
They found out, didn't
They messed with me. Like to this day, I tell you, you don't never have to worry about what he would think about you, because she's going to bring it down front to you.
He's a country girl.
So, you all were in what grade then?
5th.
Okay, and how was school?
School, right? Because I had already completed that grade, so it was,
I always had good grades. The teacher always said so.
we had good grades. Because I got my whole transcript. I was looking through stuff. I got my whole thing from grade school.
Oh, yeah? Well, I used to hear about what you all had to wear to school.
Ooh, the fur coat.
No, I should have.
You should
I should have brought
picture of her coat.
brought Muzz album here. Let y'all see the. Who
That
was
was
that?
that
It
was
started with who had that sweater first?
The one that went all the way down to Curtis?
Yeah, the one that was down.
Because it was a girl sweater by South Curtis guy. They flipped it around and put the buttons on the other side. You know, the girls
No,
on one
Muzz cut
side.
it and put a zipper in. And somebody said, "How could y'all be?
With that
Y'all
same
couldn't be the
coat.
same." They said, "Eva got the sweater on, and now Paul got the sweater on. Now Curtis got the same."
You forgot about me, but Paul threw it across his arms. It would be cold, like 6 degrees. He said, I'm not going to put that coat on. I
The
wore
same
it.
sweater.
I
Bro, me and
wore
you
it.
burned.
I
You would have
wore
got down to Curtis. You cut the skip and put a zipper in.
And Curtis didn't worry about it. You didn't worry about it. I wore it. Paul said, I'm not wearing it. I'm going to put it on my, oh, that's so cold. It was so cold, and the coat was so warm, but some little midget lady had it. And it was cut short for a midget, but with a big fur on it. And if it just wasn't for that fur, you could have made it to school. And the kids would say, look at her coat. So Paul said, I'm not wearing it. I'm going to put it on my arm. So I don't know what happened to it in the end, but we had another coat that wasn't a fur coat, and we would cut it up and make a skirt and take the lining, which would match the coat material, and make a scarf to go around your
We
head.
sit up at night and cut up
And then I
coats
sew
and made
all that
skirts.
by hand, the scarf and the thing by hand. And speaking of that one seam, I didn't put but one seam down because I didn't know how to make a pattern. So I
And they
didn't know
had
there
there to
were
be jealous with them homemade.
homemade scarves.
I think that's why most, well, not most, I mean, everybody in this family is so creative because of that type of stuff.
Yeah, we made the
Yeah,
skirts from
cause-
old coats.
I remember when I had holes in my shoes, all of my shoes had holes in them. And for some
And
reason,
we put cardboard.
like
in.
you get a hole like right here,
Right.
and your sock would come out of it. You know, some kind of way it would just start sucking the sock out of it. And you know, we started by cutting cardboard at the shape of the shoe and put it in there. And Dad used to have so much building materials and stuff. I went and got some floor tile and put some tar in my shoe, and it was actually better than the stuff that they made.
I
You know,
had the
it
answer.
never leaked again.
I had the answer because my shoe used to come loose right here from the glue, and it would go flop, flop,
Yeah,
flop.
yeah.
And then Ma would take an ice pick and make a hole through both of these, and take a hairpin and put it in there too, and then the shoe wouldn't flap in. You would put
Well, see,
that.
I couldn't take that flap, so I would cut that flap like about right here. But then that's the part that would wear out, and your sock would come out of it. So I would just take the whole sole off down to the heel,
and
and
put paper.
yeah, I'd cut something the same shape of the shoe, a floor tile, and glue it on with tar, and then cut another one and put on the inside like the Dr. Scholl thing that was inside. It never leaked again. I'd walk in water.
Well, I would be walking in my.
And you
with
just
my
think
hair
about
pinned.
these kids nowadays that have it made with the electronics and all that. I said we had that hard time, and all us finished school. We went to school, finished school, had good grades, and these kids had some of everything. They ain't got nothing to do but go to
You
school.
know what I can't stand now?
What?
To see some shoes hanging on a telephone pole.
Yeah.
These shoes like brand new.
I would have got them down some kind of way.
Those shoes, you couldn't see nothing like that back then.
You
know?
remember Armida and them, that little house was clean. They didn't have nothing but a bed and chairs in each room, but it